In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, I am very happy that, thanks to God, we are able to witness from near and far the last day of the fifth course on Christianity and Islam under the theme of unity of God and unity God. So thanks to God, this is the fifth year, and we pray that it would be followed by many more years of this beautiful collaboration between Tangaza University and International Institute for Islamic Studies. What I'm going to share with you today is first a little introduction to my involvement in Christian-Muslim dialogue and why this is so important for me and for our group. And then I will share with you some theological and at the same time spiritual reflections on unity of God and unity in God. So the first part is a kind of personal story of how over more than 25 years I have been actively and passionately involved in this dialogue. So, to begin with, I was born in Tehran, and I developed lots of questions about God in my teenage years. I was in a school in Tehran for my secondary and high school, which was mostly for people who were selected from the last year of primary school, and they were considered to be, like talented students, and most of them were going to sciences or medicine. It was not planned to lead to seminarians because it was founded before the revolution and religion was not an issue at that time or a concern for education at this level. And among our friends, even after the revolution, many of them, more than 90%, went to the line of sciences and medicine. But I had lots of questions about God and wanted to have convincing answers for myself. In those years, when I was like 15, 16, 17 years old, I also started attending some lectures on Arabic. You may know that we Iranians don't speak Arabic for most part. We have in a province or maybe two provinces some Arabic speaking people, but it's not for most of Iranians their mother tongue. So we need to learn Arabic to be able to understand the Quran or Hadith. And I took lessons on Arabic 3 days a week after high school. So we had long hours in high school because our high school was also away. I had to spend about 1 hour going, 1 hour coming back, and it was taking more time than normal schools. But then I had interest in learning Arabic with a sheikh in Tehran who was also imam of a mosque. And little by little, my questions became more important, and at the same time, I came to know more about Islamic seminaries of Qom and the depths of studies there. My teacher was also, telling us sometimes stories of the lives of the scholars. So when I was 17 and in the last year of my high school, I was at a point that I was so thirsty for learning that I told my parents, I cannot stay anymore in Tehran. Please give me your blessing to go to Qom. I hope you would visit Iran at some point, not to, in far future, inshallah, in near future. So you would see that Qom and Tehran are not very far, but those days was a little bit more difficult because transportation was not like today. The motorway was not there. Nowadays it's easy. It's about a matter of like 2 hours. But totally new environment for me because I didn't have any seminarian among my relatives, and the only one that I was in touch was my teacher who was teaching me Arabic. Thanks to God, my father and my mother agreed, and I went to the seminary, but I promised them I will finish my high school also. So I was in the last year of high school. So I left a special school, which many people, just wanted to join that school. I was there from secondary and 3 years of high school. I left the school. I said, I just want to go to learn about my questions. And I went to Qom and was very a special situation. Because on the one hand, I was very attached to my parents. We were very much close with each other. And in my life, I was not used to be in another city without my parents. Just once in my life, I had gone to Mashhad, or twice, maybe once by at that time, to Mashhad without my parents. So it was difficult to be in a totally new environment, but I was very thirsty for knowledge, so I was very happy. Then what happened was I tried to increase my understanding of philosophy because I knew that some of my questions only could be answered through philosophy and philosophical theology. Also, I knew as a teenager, but because I had done lots of reading and listened to many lectures in those years, every day between 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. we had very good lectures on radio. I used to also listen to them. So I knew from beginning that I have to be convinced rationally, but also I have to develop something in my heart so that my heart accepts and welcomes what I am convinced in, rationally. So I was interested in spirituality as well. Then, after studying Islamic studies for many years, I thought I need to study Western philosophy as well, because I wanted to see any presentation of the truth, any search for the truth which is there, and be familiar and benefit. So after 7 years of studying in the seminary, when I started my Dars Kharij, which is the advanced studies for jurisprudence, I also applied for doing my bachelor's in Western philosophy at Tangaza University, and then I did my master's in Western philosophy, and then in 1995 I went to the UK to do my PhD on moral philosophy. I was given a scholarship by a seminarian institute, and I chose to do more of, they gave me the option of choosing which country and which subject related to philosophy and theology. So I chose ethical relativism and UK. So in October 1995, I went to the UK, and in January 96, I started, October 96, I went. In January 97, I started my PhD in Manchester. So this is my academic line, very briefly. Involved Islamic studies, Western philosophy, and seeing no limit for learning. Even if it requires I go to Tehran once or twice a week, I go. If I have to go to West, I will go. I didn't have any limit for learning. But when we were in Manchester, we thought we need to know more about Christianity. I knew about Christianity as part of my Islamic studies and part of my study of Western philosophy, especially medieval ages. So I knew about Christianity to some extent. But my knowledge was very much restricted to the texts and to the second-hand experiences. And in Iran, we have very small, percentage of Christians. Therefore, it's very likely that if you live in a city in Iran and don't go particularly to find Christians, maybe you don't meet any Christians in your life. There are cities with no Christian population, and even in Tehran, it's a massive city. There are some neighborhoods which have some Christians, but not everywhere. So we didn't have that much eye-to-eye encounter with Christians. So when we were in Manchester with my wife, who is also a graduate of seminary, we thought this is a good time to know more about Christianity as lived and practiced, not just as it is written in the books. Because even if you have the most accurate books written by maximum honesty and fairness, still it's not equal to living with people about whom you are reading. Imagine if, for example, we were reading about Kenya by Kenyans who are very passionate about their country. But we are in Iran reading about Kenya. It would not be the same as coming to Kenya and breathe in the same air, same atmosphere, and talk to people, interact with people, eat, discuss, walk together. It's totally different experience. This is if you have very good presentations. But sometimes, books are not always written by the people who are respectful to the subject or who are fully informed about the subject. Then it can make it even, worse. So we thought now it's good time to know more about Christianity. It was not part of my study. My study was purely philosophical. It was not part of my community life because I was serving the Iranian community. We had a large population of Iranian PhD students. There were about 200 PhD students just in Manchester at that time. And I had also contact with the Shia community, but I said I must use this opportunity to know more about Christianity. in those years, I am talking about 97, 98, it was not like today. Thanks to God, today we have many forums, many networks, many, projects that bring Muslims and Christians or people of different faiths, together. At that time was not very easy, and we were new to that society. Although many people may expect that, for example, if you go to any Western country, you would find Christianity, very present. But the reality was that in Manchester, it was mostly a secular, city. There were churches, but Christianity was not very present in the public life. We had heard about Focolare in Italy, because my wife had a friend who was in Italy and told us about Focolare. We had not gone there, we had not met them, but we had heard about them. So my wife got in touch with her friend and said if we can be in touch with Focolare in the UK. So thanks to God, soon we had the pleasure of welcoming one of the Focolarina Marite in our house in Manchester. So they used to live in Liverpool, and she visited us. So this is the first Christian visiting us in our home. I don't think in my life before that I had any Christian guest in my home. So we had very good time, and then she told us about a day meeting which is going to take place at Hope University. Hope University is a Christian university in Liverpool. So we said we must attend this meeting. So we went there, and we very much enjoyed the atmosphere of love, remembrance of God. In Manchester, we were remembering God in home and in our mosque, but we were somehow missing the spiritual air that we had in Iran. Because in Iran, we have a spiritual air in Qom, especially in some places, especially, but everywhere. Being in a secular society, we were missing that spirituality. And with Focolare in that day, we found it again. Everyone is proudly talking about God. Everyone is not, shying to talk about God. Talking about God, love, it was amazing. And thanks to God, we were able to notice commonalities more than differences. Although it's another tradition, a new experience for us, but thanks to God, we managed to notice commonalities more than differences. One of the beautiful things that happened, which for me was a, really beginning of a journey, was that I was sitting next to a priest and a Benedictine, a monk, who was also related to Focolare movement, the late Father Jonathan Cotton, who passed away a few months ago. So I am a sheikh from Iran, a seminarian, imam of the community in Manchester for the Shia community, Iranians. For the first time in my life, now I am sitting next to a priest and a monk. But we didn't feel anything, awkward, anything, bad, anything, that we need to just tolerate. No, quite different. We found very good relation soon starting, which continued till end of Father Jonathan's life. And even I was fortunate to be able to take part in his funeral in Ampleforth. And I hope we are remaining still as good friends. So I told Father Jonathan, I felt very comfortable with him. I said, I come from a seminarian background, although I have studied in universities, but I look at myself as a seminarian mainly. So I want to see if it's possible to visit some Christian seminaries. I want to see what are the commonalities, differences, how we can learn from the experiences of Christian seminaries. And this is very important now that when I reflect back, I thank God that I didn't have any suspicion or dislike, let alone hatred, any sense of rivalry to Christian seminaries. I just had the sense that these are like my colleagues. We are doing the same thing in different traditions. Let us know each other. So I said, is it possible that you help me visit some Christian seminaries in the UK? And he suggested to visit Ampleforth Abbey, which is not a seminary for seminarians, but is the largest monastic community and the place for formation of monks. And he belonged to the same community, but he was serving in a parish in Leyland. So he was a parish priest, but also a monk from that community. So we fixed a time. He kindly drove to Manchester and took me to Ampleforth. This must be now maybe 98. And I very much enjoyed being in the monastery. And I thank God for that. Because sometimes, we had this experience, of course, very rare. I just now remember one person actually told this. Maybe other people don't say, but I think it's very, very rare that when a person went to a place of worship of another faith, felt very bad. But thanks to God, this is not common. For me, going to a monastery was amazing. I used to take part in the offices of prayer and very much enjoyed their prayers and their Gregorian chant. Even in future, I took at that time, these CDs were, very common, and you put it in your car. So when I went back to Iran in 2000, I took one of the things was a CD from prayers of monks. And in Qom, sometimes I was driving and listening to the prayer of the monks. So I slept overnight. I had lots of meetings. One meeting was with the Abbot Timothy Wright, who was the person with whom we started Catholic Shia dialogue. So at that time we were very new to each other, and he had a strong sense of humor. So he said to me, be careful, don't let these monks contaminate you. So he said it with a smile and laughing. But I think in reality he was trying to overcome a kind of worry that he had himself, because later we became friends and he explained, because they had no encounter with Muslims, because Ampleforth Abbey is in a secluded area in North Yorkshire and inside the mountains. They didn't have any encounter with Muslims in the abbey, and they had encounter with some Buddhists. And just happened that one monk had become a Buddhist. So I think he was also worried, because later he told me, I was thinking what this smiling face is going to do here. Because, when you don't know each other, you are worried that maybe the other person wants to do something here, maybe they want to convert people, etc. But anyway, he showed me great hospitality, as the rule of Saint Benedict says. And he said, you and your family are welcome to come here. He was very hospitable, all the community. But inside, they didn't know how this is going to evolve. I took this very good opportunity to know more about Christianity, because one of the most beautiful aspects of Christian life is monastic life, is that life dedicated to prayer and of course work, but certainly prayer is very central in monastic life. So I very much enjoyed. Sometimes we spent a week in the guest house of the monastery. My wife decided to do her dissertation on love in Christianity and Islam. So we used the libraries, we discussed with the monks. And then in 2000, when I finished my PhD, I was for 1 year in London and visiting Manchester. I was doing my postdoc. I was doing some work in the community in London. I was trying to develop more knowledge about Christianity. So few things happened. One of them was that Abbot Timothy told me, Muhammad, are you willing to talk about Islam to our brethren? This is after several years of knowing each other and visiting, Ampleforth. So he said, are you happy to talk about Islam? I said, yes. He said, what are you going to say? So it just came to my mind that I can give introduction to Islam, then talk about Islamic spirituality, and then talk about some practical instructions given by Muslim mystics. He very much welcomed. He said, why you don't give 3 talks? On each of these 3, give 1 talk. So we fixed the time according to the Gregorian calendar, but it had happened that my first talk coincided the demise anniversary of the Prophet. And I took it as a good sign that God willing, this will be very spiritual. So later Abbot Timothy said, and we have his recording, that when he told the monks that I am inviting an Iranian young scholar to talk about Islam, he said, some of them said, what? They were, very surprised and somehow, didn't expect. But he said, after the first talk, even the most conservative monk said this was brilliant. We found lots of commonalities. I remember the monks used to tell me, this is what we have in the rule of Saint Benedict. This is what we have in the rule of Saint Benedict. And by that time, I had not read the rule of Saint Benedict. It's not that, I read and changed my talk in the way that they appreciate. I just said Islam as I understood, but they kept saying this is the rule of Saint Benedict. So we found lots of similarities. And of course, this is not only with the Benedictines, with every group of Christians, we find this, but with them it was also obvious. So when I was going back to Iran in 2000, after my study finished and my 1 year work also finished, I invited one of the monks who had PhD in theology to come to Qom. And he said I should seek permission from Abbot. So he talked to Abbot Timothy, and Abbot said, I myself like to come. So in 2002, they visited Iran, And this is the first time I'm inviting Christians to the seminary of Qom. But thanks to God, I didn't feel anyone is, unhappy, or anyone is, criticizing me. So when they came to Qom, we organized lectures inside Imam Khomeini Educational Research Institute. We took them outside, and people had questions, very good interactions. Later, Abbot Timothy Wright wrote in tablet. Tablet is the English, like a magazine for the Catholics. So he wrote in the tablet how comfortable they felt in Iran, how happy they were. For example, when we were traveling from Qom to Isfahan, they saw on the billboards names of God. They were so happy. And they said they were walking on the streets of Qom with their habits, and people were very okay. So that trip was very successful. Then we had a conversation in the car going from Qom to Tehran. What would be the next step? A question that keeps coming in every meeting we have, what is the next step? Because we understand that working for God has to be dynamic, has to be like an ongoing process. It's never, something finished. So we need to understand what's the next. So we thought, let us plan having a dialogue among Shiites and Catholics in the UK, and bring some of our people together and discuss topics and try to understand better our commonalities, our differences, etc. They suggested that we can have this in Ampleforth. And I said, I love Ampleforth, but the problem is that not many Shia people are around. Let us see if we can have it in London and then move to Ampleforth. So in July 2003, we had the first round of Catholic Shia dialogue. It's not that Catholics and Shia didn't talk before. I'm talking about our round of dialogue, first round of dialogue. Otherwise, Catholics and Shia had historical relations, have had historical relations. But for us, the first round was July 2003. And it was international. We had people from Italy, we had people from UK, from other countries. We had Shia from also different countries. The first day was at Heathrow College. Heathrow College, unfortunately, is closed down, but it was part of University of London, but run by Jesuits. So we had the first day in London. We invited 50-50 from each side. Then 2020, we went to Ampleforth from Sunday till Wednesday midday. And we found amazing spirituality and brotherhood there. And please remember, none of us was trained for interreligious dialogue. We didn't have any instruction, any mandate, any support. We just went by what we felt in our hearts, that this is what God wants. Yes, we had invited, for example, people from Vatican who were experienced, but they were guests. They were not helping us in organizing. Just me and Abbot Timothy, and later people from Heathrow College. We were planning things. But it was very interesting that we didn't have any moments of conflict, any moments of tension. And we took part in Christian prayer. They sometimes took part in Muslim prayer. We ate together, we talked together. Amazing. It was considered by the tablet to be the first major British encounter of the Catholic theologians with Iranian Shiite thinkers and theologians. This is exactly what I'm quoting from tablet. and people from even the Council of Jewish and Christian, council in UK, they said we should follow the same pattern. We decided to publish the book after articles along with some other articles. So in 2004, the first volume of Catholic Shia Dialogue was published. In 2004, we had also another visit of Qom, Abbot Timothy with another monk, Bonaventura, and then two people from Hithrop, Michael Barnes and Anthony Mohani. They visited Qom. Then we had 2005, the second round, 2007, the third round. Visits were happening till Abbot Timothy moved to Rome. Then, when I took a group of PhD students from Qom to Italy, I met him in St. Beda College. St. Beda College in Rome is the English-speaking college in Rome. So he was in charge of a spiritual direction. We said, let us resume now the dialogue in Rome or Italy. And so we had the fourth round in Italy, and this is when monastic interreligious dialogue was involved. So from round 4, Father William Skutralek, who is General Secretary of Monastic Interreligious Dialogue, was involved. Abbot Primate of the Benedictine Order was involved. Then round 5 was in Qom. Round 6 was in Assisi. Round 7 was in Kenya. Now we come to Kenya, where interesting things happen. So when we were in Kenya in September 2017, we were inspired by a project that we had started in Lopiano in Sofia University. So please wait for this line, which we reached 2017 with the Catholic monks and the Shia, so that I can also bring another line to 2017. And then you see how these merge. Our relation with Focolare developed. First, we started visiting them in many cities in the UK. In Liverpool, in London, in Leeds, in Glasgow, in Edinburgh. But then it went outside UK. So in 1999, we were invited to take part in Muslim convention of the Focolare movement. There were more than 300 Muslims from all over the world invited, and we were invited to, and this is the first time I go to Italy, 99. And also first time I meet so many Muslims from all over the world, from different schools of Islam, and all interested in dialogue and unity. It was wonderful time to know more about Christianity, to know more about even diversity of Islamic world that I knew about it, but I didn't see it face to face. Also, Vatican had organized some events because of New Millennium. So we took part also in some programs of Vatican. We had also pleasure of meeting the Pope John Paul II in St. Peter's Square. We had an audience with him. I had heard about Lopiano, which is a very interesting city, and I advise you, if any of you Christians and Muslims, if you can, please go and visit Lopiano, because it's a small town dedicated to God and unity. And everyone there tries to live by this spirituality. So when I had heard about it, I was feeling that I must spend more time. So part of the program for these more than 300 people was a day visit of Lopiano. But we said, please arrange for us that with my family we stay more. So we stayed 2-3 nights in Lopiano, 99. Before that, we had attended Mariapolis weeks in UK, but this is a permanent Mariapolis. So we stayed there. We loved it. And from my childhood, I had this love for having a place that all of them are, believing in the same spirituality. So I saw my dream in Lopiano. And in 2000, again, I went back to Italy, but this time alone, with one of my very good Focolare friends, Dimitri. I managed to visit many places in Rome. Then we went to Assisi. This is 2000. Later, we had dialogue in Assisi, but my first visit of Assisi was in 2000. I loved Assisi. Every corner, there was a monastery, there was a convent. And I was telling myself, what amazing place. When you think that over history, for centuries, there are dedicated souls of men and women who prayed to God here, who gave their life to be a witness for God. So I, as a Muslim, found Assisi was like a spiritual place for me, was like a shrine for me. I felt very happy with Assisi. We visited Perugia, then I went myself to Padua. I stayed 2-3 nights with Focolare in Padua. Then I went back to Rome. So the journey with Focolare continued in the UK, in Italy. Then whenever I visited a country, I tried to visit the Shia community. I tried to visit Focolare in Canada, in the US, up to Philippines. And then we had a moment that I said to actually Roberto, who is there, in one of the visits, when I took that group of men, PhD students, to Italy, that I want to bring a group of ladies to Italy. And Roberto was in the Center for Interreligious, he was male responsible for Center for Interreligious Dialogue. And he helped in planning a visit of ladies. Isra was one of them, my wife, and several ladies of Rome and Lopiano. Then after that, Roberto, Cristina, and Paul, and also Stefania, because I told them, please bring at least one person from Lopiano. Stefania used to be in Lopiano. Now she's the spokeswoman for Focolare. So they visited us in Qom, and we went to Isfahan. And then I said to Roberto, please help planning a formation for some of these sisters, ladies from us who visited Lopiano, so that they spend more time, observe your formation. So they worked hard to plan something new because they didn't have, Muslim women there. So there was a 4-week program of working and study. And in that trip, something very interesting happened. I don't have time to explain. Our relation with Focolare went to another level. And I felt that that is the time that now we can, take a bigger step. So after that, when I went back to the UK, I was invited again by Focolare in the Mariapolis, which was in Hope University. After more than 20 years, going back to Hope University. And this time I declared my support of Focolare spirituality. And our unity had reached a level that I was very comfortable after 17, 18 years of observation. So basically, we started a new project. In April 2016, I suggested to the president of Sofia University, a president of that time, Professor Piero Coda, that you are committed to unity. I know Focolare for many, many years. And I think I am also committed. I'm not sure about myself, but I am sure about you. So I know you are committed. I think I am committed. But at the same time, I feel we are stuck. We have amazing friendship. We can have very good relation, we can be together for, weeks and months and feel very happy. But I think we are not going further. We need more. I said now I am in London because in 2014 I moved to London. So I said we can every few months meet and bring our resources and ask God to guide us. I'm sure God is going to guide us if we really struggle for understanding. He welcomed the idea and he said, what should we call it? I didn't think about a name because I was not sure he's going to accept. Just came to my mind, Wings of Unity. Because Muslims and Christians need to work together for unity. Like a bird needs two wings. You cannot fly with one wing. Even if you have very strong wing, it has to be two. We cannot go this path of unity alone. Especially now that we have so many challenges for life of faith. If we are not united by all the resources for unity that we have, at least challenges and dangers must unite us today. So we have lots of things to unite us. If you don't take the lesson, at least now open your eyes and see that how life of faith, how all our divine common heritage is in danger. Look at what is happening in this year in the world, in the 21st century. How many innocent people are killed? What else we need to realize that we have to work for God? So, Wings of Unity was a project which is inspired by many years of friendship and trust and love and dialogue, but is coming to existence in the era of unity. And God willing is going to bring fruits of human fraternity. So we started the first round of Wings of Unity in July 2016, and guess what was the title? Unity of God and Unity in God. 2017 we had the first project of Wings of Unity. That was to bring Catholic youths and Shia youths together for a week in Tonadico, northern Italy. And it was amazing. These Christian youths and Shia youths, very dedicated, practicing, educated, but at the same time they quickly dived into this lake of unity. They felt very close to each other. There are lots of beautiful experiences. So this was in August 2017. With this energy, we came to Kenya in September 2017 for 8th round of Catholic Shia dialogue. The theme is Unity of God, Unity in God. With all that energy, we came here, and then we had 2 half-day programs in Tangaza University. What an amazing program was there in Tangaza University, and I especially thank Father Innocent, because from the moment we met with Father Innocent, our brotherhood really, took off, and thanks to God it's increasing. So when we had 2 half-day program about Unity of God and Unity of God in Tangaza University, everyone was very happy. And I remember, I don't know the name, but Father Innocent must know the name. The Vice Chancellor of that time, at the ending said, I was transformed. Because it was a transformation for us. All of us, we are, pilgrims in this journey. And it was decided that every year we do something under this theme of unity of God and unity in God. They invited us for a conference. So 2 of our professors came to Kenya, to Tangaza for a conference. Then this 3-week course started. And if COVID was not there, it would be, this year would be the 7th. But because of COVID, 2 years we had to stop. So this is the 5th year. Then IRDIS started. I was invited to be there for the opening of IRDIS. And Father Innocent visited us. We hope that he accepts to visit us again for a very important project we are, trying to embark for training people for dialogue in African context between Islam and Christianity. So, Catholic Shia dialogue in 2017, as the 8th round reached Kenya, relation with the Focolare, Wings of Unity, bringing the energy and the title of Unity of God and Unity God to Kenya, and then never forgetting Kenya, never forgetting this beautiful context. So we made it as part of our formation. This is my last point before break. Brothers and sisters, unity has to be our aim in every project. For formation of imams, sheikhs, priests, monks, unity must be one of the things that we want to put in the formation. You cannot say we only train people for Christian-Muslim relations if they are going to serve in a mixed community, for example. No. No matter where you live in the world today, you need to know how to work with people of other faiths, not to avoid conflicts and tensions. This is too little. To know people of other faiths so that you know how to work together for God. If we have dedicated people from different traditions, especially inside the Abrahamic family, this is an opportunity. This is a blessing. If we have Muslims, Christians from different denominations who are really dedicated to God, this must be seen as wealth, as opportunity, that we work together and we offer a joint testimony. Inshallah, Sister Esra is going to also have a contribution today to help me to talk about the testimony and joint witness. So, we have made it part of our program in International Institute for Islamic Studies that everyone who joins our institute for the 3rd level and sometimes for the 4th level, but for the 3rd level, they must certainly come to Tangaza. So far, more than 50 people have come. And our institute is very much planned to be small. We said from the beginning, we don't want to have a big, massive institute. We want to be very selective. So every year we take about maybe 10, 12, 14 people maximum for all different levels. We don't take many people. But so far, more than 50 people have come to Tangaza for 3 weeks. And from 2nd year, they go also to Mariapolis Piero. I requested Carlo to join them. First was for 2-3 days, then became for a week. So this is the 4th year that after Tangaza, they go to Mariapolis Piero to experience, also this dialogue in another environment, but with the same spirit. So we reached up to 2017 about Catholic Shia dialogue, but with Tangaza, I came to the moment, to the present time. We are going to have a break and then see the timeline of Catholic Shia dialogue up to the round 9, and then I will inshallah talk about now reflections. I will share with you some theological, spiritual reflections, but I think this introduction was very important so that you know that what I am sharing as reflections is not based on just reading, based on theological courses only. It's something that has engaged me completely for more than 25 years. So thank you for your patience, and we are going to have a break and then we can resume. May God be praised everywhere. Thank you.